The New York Rangers have had a very disappointing season, and as of late especially, they have not been very good at all. They've actually been quite terrible for the most part over the last little while, but they ended up pulling off a very important win Saturday afternoon against the Vancouver Canucks, JT Miller's former team, and the Rangers ended up coming out there with the 2 points, which it was an absolute must. I mean, I've been kind of saying that for the past few games here, obviously. They haven't been able to get the job done, but they finally get the job done here against the Canucks, get the 2 points there, which it was very, very much needed. Now, the Rangers are still not in a playoff spot. They're not like officially in there. A lot of teams around them have some actual games in hand. So the Rangers are still not in a great spot to make the playoffs, but these 2 points that they got in this game on Saturday are definitely going to be a huge help. Obviously, it's still going to be a tough race there. There's still, 4 or 5 teams you could say kind of really in the mix still for that kind of last wildcard spot as Ottawa. It's more than likely, I would say, going to kind of take that top wildcard spot. And although the Rangers did get those very important 2 points in that game against Vancouver on Saturday, it still was not a good performance by the Rangers, and that's kind of what is really worrying about this team is we are seeing kind of game after game these just awful performances where this team is just giving what it looks like no effort at all. No real kind of drive to win, no eagerness to win. The effort's not there. There's not a lot of energy out of this team right now. I mean, some players, Will Cooley, Brendan Hoffman, Rempe a bit. You see some guys kind of putting in that effort and energy, but for the most part there's just not a lot of guys out there that are looking like they really absolutely want to win. And that's kind of disappointing when you're still in the mix for a wildcard spot. And, as fans, it has been a disappointing season. We're going to be honest here. It's been disappointing. I think most of us had expectations of this team, at minimum being a, wild card team, like for sure. Right now, we're in the mix for a wild card spot to potentially get one, which, if you asked me this, if we were going to be in this spot, let's say 6 months ago, I would have probably said, wow, that's probably pretty crazy. But obviously, here we are right now, outside looking in, and it's not the best spot to be in by any means, but they still have a chance. They're just going to have to really turn around and completely kind of change how they're playing. And as of late, they've kind of been consistently getting outshot by quite a bit over the last 2 games here, and also have just been allowing way too many kind of highest danger scoring chances and also not producing enough scoring chances as well. And you may say, well, hey, the Rangers scored, 4 goals plus an empty netter in that game against Vancouver. And yes, they did score 4 goals plus an empty netter, but if you really take a look at the in-depth stats or the advanced stats, and you really watch that game as well, the Rangers did not play great. It did not look like a team who kind of deserved necessarily to score, 4 goals plus an empty netter. So in this game against Vancouver, we ended up seeing the Rangers get outshot pretty heavily, which it's not terribly surprising with how they play as of late, but it definitely is disappointing as the Rangers ended up having a total of 12 shots on goal. They ended up scoring 4 goals plus the empty netter, so 5 goals total on 12 shots there. Kevin Lankinen had 7 saves on 11 shots against there, so he did not play great in this one. I'm going to be honest there, not a great performance by him. And then you take a look at what the Canucks did, though, and they had 39 total shots on Igor Shesterkin, and they scored 3 goals. So Igor stopped 36 out of 39 shots he faced, and I think he had an overall pretty good game. And now, was he perfect this game? No, and maybe that Brock Besser goal there, you would have maybe liked him to have, but it's still, I would not necessarily blame that on him fully. So I think overall, it was a very good performance by Igor Shesterkin. As of late, he has started to look a lot better, while the rest of this team has just kind of taken a even bigger step back from where they've been in previous games this season, which is pretty shocking because they've been pretty bad at moments this season. But as of late, when things have mattered the most, and this team is right, getting down to the wire here, where you've got about less than a dozen games left here in the season, and you're right in the mix for a wildcard spot. The rest of this team has kind of taken an even bigger step back, where Igor has kind of started to take a bit of a step forward. It's just, we're not getting both at the same time here, which is a little disappointing. And I'm not saying this whole entire season has been on Igor by any means. I think he's actually been quite good and a little kind of underrated compared to what most fans kind of feel about him this season. I know the contract is pretty big. He's still not performing up to that kind of standards there of that historic kind of goalie contract, but I still think Igor has been solid this season there. As of late, he started to play much better, but the rest of this team has just taken another step back, which is pretty shocking to say. And when you take a look at the expected goals for and against for the Rangers in this game against Vancouver and over the last kind of 3 games here, take a look at the game against Vancouver there. The expected goals for the Rangers was 0.97, so not even one whole expected goals for, and they ended up getting 4 goals plus an empty netter. Then you take a look at for the Vancouver Canucks in that game, they ended up having an expected goals for of 2.99. So the Rangers had an expected goals against of 2.99 there, so just being under 3, and obviously the Canucks ended up scoring 3 total goals. So that kind of says something about the game here. And if you watch this game, you would probably understand that the Rangers did not create a ton of, super kind of high danger chances there. They didn't have a ton of chances in general. I mean, they had a dozen shots total, including the one on the empty net. So this team did not create a ton offensively, but they still ended up managing to pull through by scoring more goals than their team there. But it really was just not a good game at all from this team, which is very disappointing defensively. They still have some pretty major issues, and we'll kind of get to that in a second here. But taking a look at the other kind of expected goals for and against over the last couple of games here, you take a look at the one before the Vancouver game there, one against the Maple Leafs. The Rangers ended up having expected goals for of 1.45 compared to the expected goals for the Leafs of 2.64. Rangers obviously lost that game 4-3. Then you take a look at the game before that against the Calgary Flames, where the Rangers ended up losing 2-1, and the Rangers in this game had a expected goals for of 1.23, so they kind of outproduced their, one goal scored in this game, so I guess that was okay. But then you take a look at the expected goals against, and that was, 2.66. So again, more than double the expected goals for the other team compared to the Rangers there. So really and truly, they just have not been performing anywhere close to good enough over the last little while here. They're not getting enough kind of high scoring chances there, high danger scoring chances. They're not doing enough to produce offensively, and they're also not playing great defensive hockey either. So when you're not able to produce a ton offensively and you're not doing that great defensively, you're obviously not going to win a lot of games. So I think this has been a pretty major issue for the entire season, you could say, where the Rangers have had a major issue at producing offensively. They've had kind of one of the kind of lower power play percentages in the entire NHL this season as well, which is very disappointing compared to, previous seasons where they've been, for the most part, they're kind of like top 5 in both categories. It's felt right for the power play and penalty kill, where this year, the power play has taken a major step back to being, one of the kind of bottom tier ones in the entire NHL almost. So it really just has not been great this season offensively from this team, and defensively, it has not been a whole lot better either. And, you take a look at Keandre Miller, for example, in this game there. I believe it was the third goal that the Canucks scored. It actually was with Brock Besser scoring that, where below the goal line there, you have the 6'5" Keandre Miller going up against a smaller guy in Brock Besser. They're both kind of battling for the puck there below the goal line. And of course, Keandre Miller loses the battle, drops his stick, gets beat out front there, allows Brock Besser, a very good goal scorer, to just skate directly out front there, and he gets a clean shot off there and beats Igor. Now, was it the best goal in the world? No, and could have Igor have possibly stopped it? Yes, but I wouldn't necessarily kind of blame that goal fully on Igor there when you have your defenseman who's, a 6'5" guy there in the corner battling for the puck. He gets beat pretty cleanly there, drops a stick, gets beat out front there, and like I said, Brock had a pretty great opportunity there and a clean shot to score, and he obviously did that. So what I'm trying to get at here is defensively, this team is just not playing good at all, and I think this team needs to get tougher. I talked about it in past videos where this team, I think, needs to get a lot stronger on the back end, a lot bigger on the back end, and obviously a guy like Keandre, has that size there, but he doesn't have that strength, doesn't have that defensive play. So I think this team obviously needs to make some major changes this upcoming offseason, and I absolutely think that Keandre Miller needs to be one of those players that does get the move. And also in this game, we saw some pretty good stuff offensively from, some other guys there, where Brendan Hoffman finally got his first career NHL point. It's been quite a while now, but he finally got it done there. He got a nice assist, so there's that. He gets his first career NHL point, and almost kind of thought for a second there he got that one goal there where Keandre kind of shot it and went off Quinn Hughes' skating in there. It looked like for a second it might have went off Hoffman skating in, but it did not. It went off Hughes' skate there. So he almost got his first goal, but it ended up obviously going off Hughes in the back of the net there for Keandre's goal. But still, we saw Hoffman get his first career point in this one, which I am very happy about. Some of you may know I am a Peterborough Petes fan, so obviously, when he played for the Petes there, I got to watch Hoffman a lot. I've been a big fan of Hoffman for quite a while now, so I'm very, very happy to see him finally get his first career point. And we also saw Johnny Brodzinski get a couple goals in this one there. He's had a few multi-goal games in this NHL career. He got another one this game, so that was quite nice there. Lafreniere also, after playing not great over the last little while here, he finally gets a couple of assists in this one as well. He had 2 assists. JT Miller had a goal and an assist. So a couple of guys had some pretty good offensive games there. We also saw Foxy have a goal and an assist. So overall, not the best game from the Rangers, but they managed to come out with the 2 points, which is exactly what we needed. And of course, before that Vancouver game as well, we did see that tribute to Sam Rosen, with him being in his final season announcing for the Rangers. He had a nice little tribute there where he got that gold kind of microphone there, a jersey signed by all the players, stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. Nice to hear him say a few words there, obviously, and him, being in his last season there with the Rangers. It's definitely, pretty sad to see there because he is, such a big part of, us Rangers fans kind of watching hockey, watching this team. So it's going to be sad to see him go, but he's obviously a New York Rangers legend at this point here. I think we can all agree on that. So definitely going to be sad to see him go, but it's going to be interesting to kind of see who takes his spot. Is it going to be like Kenny Albert, which some people have kind of talked about? So we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens there. But all in all, Sam Rosen, an absolute legend there. So many great phrases that I'll always remember. One of my favorites for sure being "it's a power play goal," and just the way he says that, so many great phrases like that, but just in general, an amazing career for him. Obviously, got to congratulate him on that. 40 years with this franchise, an absolute legend for the New York Rangers, and definitely it's going to be sad to see him go, but there's going to be a new chapter here with someone new, I'm sure, so obviously we'll have to wait and see who that is, and obviously I'll have a video kind of talking about that, I'm sure, later on when we do get that news, but anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on today's video, as it does help the channel out a ton, and I would really appreciate it. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this New York Rangers team, their kind of miraculous win against the Vancouver Canucks, and also, what are your thoughts on Sam Rosen being in his final season? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.